day. Thank you, KCIW listeners. This is Amanda Whittemore here with the Quality Living with Peaceful Support show. We thank KCIW for all that it does here in beautiful Brookings, Oregon. Today, we have a very special guest, as we do every Monday. Our guest is Jivan, and Jivan is new to our area, and we are welcoming him home and his wife. And let's hear how you are feeling today, Jivan.
I'm doing great. Thanks, Amanda, for having me on the show. And I wanted to let you know that my name is pronounced Jivan.
Jivan.
Yeah, it's a Sanskrit and Hindi word, so it's from India. And it was the name that was given to me at Kripalu Yoga Center some 30 years ago. So that's Jivan. It means life or soul. So this was the name that was given to me. And it's an unusual name in the United States, but
very beautiful. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Jivan. Yes. Due to the spelling, I enunciate it differently.
Yes, it's not unusual.
Right.
For people to look at it and think, oh, he's jiving.
Well, with your musical background, it comes naturally with the sensation.
Yeah, I'm jiving Jivan.
Jiving Jivan. Okay, good. Well, we're really glad that you're here in the area, and there was such a magical connection. You had arrived into town and were eating Thai food at Kun Thai. And our dearest friend Cyrus, who one day I hope to have on the show, he got your information and he's like, he called me and he's like, you need to meet these people. They're so fantastic and hopefully they stay in town and they have so much to present and offer to the Brookings area. And I sent an email and here we are.
Ta-da! Yeah.
Well, tell us about you.
Okay, well, I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm a gardener, organic gardening, landscaping, permaculture. And I've been mostly doing that on Kauai, the island of Kauai, for most of the past 28 years. And I've done some, we've lived in Costa Rica a bit. I'm married, and we have 2 adult children now. And we also lived in India, South India, for 3 years. And so, yeah, I would say music is one of my biggest passions, and gardening or being in nature is another great passion. And then teaching and facilitating is my other thing that I really love to do.
When did you begin with music?
Well, as a child, this is interesting. Music has always been very healing for me. As a child, I grew up in quite the troubled family, and I would go to my room when I was upset or I felt saddened by things, such as the Vietnam War was on TV at the time, and my parents were going through a rough time. So I would go up into my room and I would put on Donny Osmond or Michael Jackson or any of the pop music of the time, and I would sing along, and it would make me feel a lot better. So I found it was a way for me to express all my emotions too. So the sadness or the anger, as well as all of the good stuff. So
the channeling.
It's always been like a form of self-therapy for me, the singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty beautiful to have that channel and that ability and to see at a young age that that's something that is alleviating and powerful.
Yes.
How, from that young age, then, where did you transcend into your teaching and where you are now? When did it really shift from being for the self and then to open up to others?
Well, it's interesting that I was so taken by the pop music of the time I was growing up, and I started singing, and I was taking drum lessons, and so immediately was jumping into bands at a young age. So by the time I was a young teenager, I was in a really good band in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then we were playing out at the bars and clubs when I was about 17. So it looked like we were really jamming. We were doing good. And I really loved the rock and roll. So, Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and all of that. And so I really loved singing that stuff. And then I had a guidance counselor in high school who he really was afraid that I was going to get caught up in all the drugs and the craziness if I became a touring musician. So he suggested that I go to college and that I leave Pittsburgh.
Huh.
And so I was like, no, I'm happy. I'm just gonna stay here, and I got a girlfriend. And he insisted, and he grabbed me by the shoulders one day and he shook me and he said, I really think it would be great for you to do this. I'm really concerned about you. And remember he handed me a book called Jimbo, I believe it was, and it was about a rock and roll guy who had, I guess, come to some demise through his just all the drugs and the craziness of the touring
the rock and roll lifestyle.
Yeah, rock and roll lifestyle. So I took it to heart, and I really trusted my friend who was this guidance counselor, and I went to college in Philadelphia. And I found that I was really fascinated with psychology, human behavior. So I got my bachelor's of science in psychology. Mm-hmm. And all the while I continued playing in rock bands. Mm-hmm. And then I got a full graduate assistantship to Villanova University in Philadelphia to study psychology further. And so I imagined that I was going to become a psychotherapist and a researcher. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing a little bit of teaching of psychology in my graduate school days. And then
it parallels pretty well with music, with the music industry.
Yeah. And so then I got full-time into working in psychology, and then I realized that I found it very depressing and draining the way the Western psychiatry model was treating people, which was mostly drugging people.
Okay.
And so here I escaped the rock and roll lifestyle, and here I'm watching. So yeah, medications, pharmaceuticals, and so which I think have their place.
Right.
But I was working full time, and I just was really very disillusioned. So I decided to go traveling. And so I sold all my stuff, and I got in a car and I just started traveling. And I really wanted to just learn to trust my intuition again. I had become very much into trying to plan everything out rationally and scientifically. And so I just really needed to kind of reconnect with that deep sense of intuition and trusting the universe. So it was amazing. I started traveling, and then I found myself at rainbow gatherings and Grateful Dead shows. And then finally at a rainbow gathering, I met a guy who said, I think you should come check out where I live. I think you'd really like it a lot. And it was a yoga ashram in Massachusetts. So it's called Kripalu. And so I went there and visited him for a few days, and I thought, this is really cool. This is like a great alternative to the mainstream rat race that I had been raised in. And it really touched me. So I ended up going and doing a 3-month program at Kripalu Ashram, spiritual lifestyle training.
There may be some listeners who are not sure what an ashram is.
Okay, an ashram is basically a training center where you go and you learn yoga, all the different aspects of a yogic lifestyle. So it's very much sort of an Eastern philosophy. And then they blend some of the ashrams blend a lot of the modern personal growth stuff from the West. So it's kind of like East meets West. And so I was really impacted in a positive way by this, because all my life I had grown up with this Western psych attitude of something's wrong with you, how can we fix it? Whereas the Eastern approach, the yogic approach, sees every individual as a spark of the divine. So everyone is actually perfect. We all come from this creator, and by many different names, whatever you want to call it, the universal consciousness, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it. And so we all come from that, and we're all created in perfection. And then what kind of throws us off is conditioning, social conditioning, and programming, propaganda, just basically conditioning from our culture and from our society. So I was really, I felt, wow, this is really beautiful. So I began to see the divine perfection in everybody and basically see God in everyone. And I feel like that's kind of what yoga is. It's a union of body, mind, and spirit. And so, and it's beyond religion. It's not really so much about religion. It's more about just connecting with source, however that works for you, and finding the union of your mind with your body and your spirit. So I thought, this is amazing. So I got to the ashram, and I liked it so much. After 3 months, I decided to stay on for a year. And so one of the things that they were doing at the ashram was every evening they would have like a talk about how to, they called it satsang, which is in the company of truth. Satsang, yeah. Sat is truth, and sang is in the company of. So and oftentimes they would have music, and they would be singing these mantras, and it really touched me deeply, the singing of these mantras as a group. And then they would go into silence. And so this is my first experience of kirtan. I had never heard of kirtan or sankirtan. And it was so blissful. It was so heart-opening and so good at calming my mind. And it was such a different thing from the music that I'm used to playing, which is you play at a restaurant, you play at a bar, you play at a concert, and there's people partying, and there's people talking.
Like a lack of consciousness or attention to the awakening that's happening.
Yeah, so with kirtan, it's singing these mantras together, and the focus is, it's a very focused energy. It creates an energy field that is very, very powerful and potent. And, at the end of a song, everybody just goes into silence, into silent meditation. So really what it is for me is it's sonic meditation that ends, and then you go into a silent meditation together. And you're in a room of people all holding this peaceful, loving space. It's a really tremendously healing adventure every time. So I've been doing this for 30 years now. I've been leading kirtan.
Wow.
So, and I just can't stop doing it. I love it. So
yeah. And how many different instruments come into play? Is it, I mean, how does it go for those listeners who've never heard it or seen it?
Well, traditionally in India, they would use a harmonium, a tambura. They would use some drone instruments and sing along with the drone. And the drone instrument helps to kind of create sort of a trancey, maybe a theta state, theta brainwave state. And, but now, with kirtan, modern kirtan, it's kind of anything goes with the music. So there's like reggae kirtans. There's, there's rock kirtans.
Really?
Yeah. So what I've chosen to do is, as much as I love the Indian music, it's quite complicated, for the Western ear. So I like to do Western styled melodies, because everyone can pick them up a lot quicker. So I'll take a mantra, a healing mantra from the Sanskrit, and I'll put it on Western styling. So it might sound like a Cat Stevens or a Van Morrison or a James Taylor.
Something familiar.
Yeah, something a little more familiar to the Western ear. And sometimes I'll do some Indian melodies that are from India. That's basically it. And it's that's what I really love to do the best. So.
beautiful. That's a really unique technique that's grown within you. And luckily, we did get to experience it. We had you at the Chetco Activity Center after a yoga session there. And the ladies and all the gentlemen, everyone's asked at the end of our session, they said, well, where is the kirtan? Where is Jivan? and I said, he'll be here again.
Yeah.
And at the Reps Gym, that was wonderful to have you there. And where else are you performing?
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. You really helped welcome me into this community. Amanda, I appreciate you so much. Where else I just did a kirtan, the first one last night at Gold Beach Wellness Center.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly, very surprising to me, 25 to 30 people showed up. And most of them sang along. Some of them just quietly took it all in, meditated.
What a treat.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And so people were like, when's the next one? When's the next one? When are we going to do this again?
Yeah.
So most of the people actually were from Brookings. So we're going to do some in Brookings. We're going to start doing kirtan. And so I haven't chosen the date and the time yet, but I have a spot and it's in Brookings. And I'll be announcing that in the next few days to come. So you can find out by getting on my Instagram, which is Jivan_heartsong, as a song of the heart, JIVAN_heartsong. And I'm also on Facebook. I post on there. So it's Jivan Herzog, which is my actual last name, HERTZOG. And then I have a website, www.jivansmusic. So that's Jivan, JIVANS, music.com, jivansmusic.com. So I'll be posting everything also on some of the local Facebook groups, like the Real Brookville, Brookville, the Unbrookville, Brookville Music and Events, and Gold Beach events. So some of the Facebook groups. And then I'm also putting flyers up around town. So
well, everyone is excited about it and looking forward to experiencing it if they haven't yet. And those that have are definitely already asking when will it happen. So that's very exciting. You mentioned permaculture. Yeah.
Love permaculture. Oh, I also wanted to mention with the music, before we jump into permaculturism, I'm also a singer-songwriter, so I'll be performing at Tortuga Mexican Bar and Grill on December 8th. From 6 till 8 p.m. And then December 9th, I'll be back at Gold Beach Wellness. We'll do another kirtan there from 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. So that's December 9th, Saturday, at Gold Beach Wellness Center, 4 to 6 p.m.
December 9th?
December 9th, yes.
At the Gold Beach Wellness Center.
Yes.
And I will make sure we put that up on the podcast because this show does air locally. And then once we've got enough time to put it all together, we set it on the internet so everyone can click on the link on the internet. They can listen live. And then even my father in Costa Rica listens to the show.
Super
Because
cool.
it's available once we put it up there to everybody. So we'll get that information on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, KCIW.
Yes. Thank you. KCIW.
Yeah. And since we're on the topic of music, let's go ahead and ask one of our questions that we ask here on the show. How would you describe quality?
Quality is, I meant to look that word up in the dictionary, but I didn't. Quality is just like, I think, giving something your whole full mind, heart, and soul. And it's something that is of value to people, to other people, or value to the environment. And it's, quality. It's like integrity in action, basically, I would say.
Integrity in action. I like that. I like that. Everyone has such a different answer, and that's the most fun part about asking the question is, ask everyone and it's like a different answer every time. Well, how would you explain living, or what is living to you?
Living.
Mm-hmm.
Living. I would say living is being alive, and it's being in the moment, not being too concerned with the future, not being too concerned with the past.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, planning for the future, but really being fully present in the moment with the people that we're with, and sharing our gifts,
Mm-hmm. That's something that is noticeably difficult for quite a lot of people, is they seem to either be in a rush to get where they're going, or they're upset about what had just happened, and they're not really here, like present.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. What is your favorite part about being alive?
I must say that my favorite thing about being alive is just experiencing all of the beauty of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes people. I love connecting with people at the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I love connecting with nature and really kind of holding it all with eyes of awe and wonder.
Mm-hmm. I can almost see that. That's a nice visual.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And with nature, so would you say that you apply the permaculture part of your experience to all things, or mostly with gardening or with music, or how do you apply permaculture in your world?
Yeah, it's pretty much permaculture is looking at everything, all of the elements. And the biggest part of it to start is just to really deeply listen and observe what's going on. Where is the water coming from? How does it flow? How about the wind? Where's that coming from? How does it flow? How does everything interact in the system? So not just on the piece of land, but on the whole global scale of things. So it's really, I feel like it's really about a deep listening, and it's the same with how we interact with other people. If we cultivate emotional intelligence, then we realize that we all have needs, and we hope that we can help meet all of our needs.
Right. And it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort. It's simple for some, and then, it's a lot of effort for others. But yeah, being able to listen and be present and see the connecting parts that make the whole better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really paying attention to what works and what doesn't work, and learning from our mistakes. And
without judgment, a lot of people think that because it didn't work that it's bad, but it may not necessarily be true. Just because it didn't work right then means perhaps with time you can apply it to a different situation. It just, good or bad, isn't as important as if it did work or if it didn't work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have another question. What about, where do you see peaceful support affect the community, or how do you see peaceful support being necessary in the community?
That's a really good question. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of chaos in the world already, and so I feel deep inside that we have this ability, we have this opportunity to evolve our consciousness. And so we can choose to be peaceful, or we can choose to be at war within and without, and with others. We can choose to adapt to our environments, or we can choose to try to control our environments. We can it feels to me like if we are focusing on really paying attention to if everyone matters, which I believe they do.
Correct.
I believe everyone matters, and I value everyone's needs. So I feel like if we can really find a deep empathy for other people, then we're not in the process of judging them. We're more in the state of just real, like visiting the heart of another. So being fully present with one another, and peace. Peace is, it's just in love. These are the richest things in the human experience for me, what I've experienced. And, I'm not saying that we don't have darkness. We have light and darkness within us, but I do feel like what brings me the most joy and satisfaction in my life is to live a loving, compassionate life. And, that makes life so much richer.
It really does. For those of those listeners that are struggling with it, it's a lot more simple. It's something that, throughout different moments in time, like I've struggled with, and being able to just breathe through it and just see how it could go one way or another in a situation, and just be like, you know what? We're going to open up more peace. We're going to open up more love, and we're just going to see our way through this with peace and love, because I know it sounds like just a statement, but it's it's like the deepest work we could do.
Yeah, and I believe that if we can create harmony, which is more or less what is permaculture, is finding harmony in the environment that you're in, then we don't need wars. They don't serve anybody, except it puts money in the pockets of some people who are creating them. And then, unfortunately, a lot of people get pulled in who are just innocent or bystanders, or they think that they're doing something that's to protect their country or their people. But I think we've got these wars going on all over the world that we don't really need to be engaging in. And that's my personal take on it is if everyone just puts their weapons down, then we have peace, and we can live together in harmony and peace and love.
That is the ultimate truth.
I know.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And I'm extremely glad that you're here today, and that you're here in our town, and that we get to enjoy more of this work that you do, sharing the gifts that you have and your teachings. We look forward to hearing about your new place that you're performing at. And of course, December 9th at the Gold Beach Wellness Center at 4 p.m. is Jivan, and it's JIVAN _heart song for Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll see you again.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
I really thank you so much. And thank you, Tom. And thank you, radio station KCIW.
All right.